This is how it all began. This is when I didn't have any money and I'd put Trailways bus ticket on my MasterCard and go to Alamosa or Durango, and people would help pay my car fare. So this is the very beginning when I had these short journeys. And then later people would help me go long distances. I went to the Presbytery of the Redwoods, and so there's David Steele driving me up there and Dorothy Merritt driving me back. Here's the ferry boat from Lopez Island to Anacortes. Here's the Coca-Cola. See, this really isn't a ribbon. This is a memory of the ribbon. So it's not finished, and of course the journey isn't finished either.
In 1982, Justine Merritt, a retired school teacher, launched an original creative project with the purpose of expressing a heartfelt longing for nuclear disarmament. The first group she spoke to was a small congregation of St. Ignatius Church in Ignacio, Colorado.
Good morning. Some of you may not know why I am here this morning. It is because the idea of the ribbon
with the deepest conviction that there were many like herself longing for peace, she began to share her enthusiasm and to inspire others to contribute to what was to become the longest piece of folk art in history. She asked people to look into their hearts to express on fabric the theme, "What I cannot bear to think of as lost forever in a nuclear war." What resulted in a nationwide grassroots effort began with the vision of one woman.
It occurred to me to tie a ribbon around the Pentagon. And I'm 61, so there was an echo of a child tying a string around a finger gently to remember something. So that was the image of the ribbon. It would be a gentle reminder to the nation that we love the earth and all its peoples. And from that wonderfully foolish notion in '82, it has grown.
The ribbon was to be made up of yard-long panels of fabric, each one expressing the voice of an individual, a family, and sometimes an entire community. And so it began through small gatherings with a few flyers, as friends told neighbors and neighbors told relatives. As the message spread across the nation, information also appeared in craft and needlework publications. The response then grew by quantum leaps. Quilting, embroidery, silk screening, painting, batik, applique. These were only a few of the many techniques used in creating each segment. The ribbon would stand as a tribute to the creative and constructive nature of humankind. It would symbolically rival the destructive side.
I've known Justine for probably about 8 years. She's been in Denver for that long. And she shared it with me very early. Then she began to travel. She has children that live in various parts of the United States and lots of friends that live in various cities. And she shared it with them. She set up times that she could meet with small groups. And little by little, they began to share the idea. And at one point, she found that she was gone all the time, and people were calling Denver saying, "I want to get a hold of Justine." And at that point, she said to me, "Would you like to help? Would you be the person here in Denver who could be the contact person?" And I had no idea it was going to grow to be this size. I said, "Sure, I can do that."
We got information about the Ribbon Project from Justine Merritt in the Denver group that started this concept, I guess, about 2.5 years ago. And we just brainstormed about it, and we thought, what could we do here in Sonoma County that would be significant? So we thought, well, why don't we wrap our federal building as a way for us to participate in the Washington Pentagon wrapping. And so we came here and we measured how many feet the federal building had, and we decided that we needed 270 segments. And pretty soon segments started coming in, and at the end we had, instead of 270 segments, we had 600 segments. We are alive.
This contagious fervor led many states to hold celebrations of their own during the spring of 1985. In this way, the entire nation seemed to be closely tied, stitch by stitch. From the time the idea was launched, the ribbon took on a life of its own. And for the next 3 years, it would wind lovingly around the country. This simple idea had seized the hearts and imaginations of countless people, many who had never expressed their hopes and fears before. From shore to shore, the response was unpredictably overwhelming. The astonishing amount of ribbon panels that were produced almost seemed to match the number of nuclear weapons stockpiled on this planet. Each segment had been cared for, nurtured, as if each stitch represented a breath, a sigh, a thought. It represented more than the fleeting memory of a parade. Each ribbon panel had a life, a soul. It would withstand time. And each was a gentle echo of the unity, which Betsy Ross had immortalized on the American flag. The first people Justine contacted with her idea were friends on her Christmas card list. And in the spirit of Christmas, it was dedicated to the indelible idea of peace and goodwill. In that sense, the project was blessed from the start.
Last but not least, and Christ said the last shall not be the least, right?
Right.
It's supposed to be firm. Did you want to join us? I do. Come on, get in there, I'll get some more. Come on, grab that in.
You better go quick because they start pulling it.
This is an amazing turnout of segments. It's incredibly beautiful. It's even more than we imagined that would have been here today.
It took Justine 700 hours to create her segment. When asked how she could give up something that had taken so long to make, she replied that the Earth's creation had taken much longer. Considering the love, hope, and labor poured into a single panel, it was easy to become emotionally attached to it. Relinquishing it required a certain sacrifice, as all true gifts do. But to relinquish the beauty of a single child's smile is inconceivable.
The logistical problems for August the 4th are awesome. Because the ribbon has unwound at such a rate, we now do not have the mile, which is what a Catholic priest in Monte Vista, Colorado, explained. A mile would be 40 segments from each state. Well, I thought we could do that. We now have over 10 miles, and we probably will have much more than that. So what do you do with 10 miles of fabric, thousands upon thousands of people, and so much beauty and love shared on fabric that we have moved beyond the Pentagon to the mall, up to the Capitol. So you need paramedics, you need water, you need sound systems, you need CBs and walkie-talkies and porta toilets. You need more hours than we had imagined. So the women of the Center for New Creation, 2 of whom are on our board, accepted this remarkable challenge.
That leaves us only 4.
I don't know if she really needs to park trucks there all day, though.
She has to offload. Everybody's going to offload.
We need to check that with Bowden. Did she call?
So if she particularly wants it back, then go ahead and make arrangements for that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, indeed you need permits. I guarantee you that you need permits. One of the things that happened, David, was originally when the request was made, when the negotiations began, it said that this was impossible because what we were requesting were permits for 3 parades all taking place in the same city at the same time. Absolutely unprecedented and impossible. Now, of course, they've come around, but they've come around because the women at the Center for New Creation have worked and worked and worked and worked.
I'm very disappointed. You know, I'm disappointed because we had been told we had them, therefore we stopped planning for an alternative method of getting water to those people.
Well, I guess we start planning again.
We have to start planning again.
The weekend approached, and people across the country began to head for Washington.
We're going to Washington, D.C.
For what?
to tie a ribbon around the Pentagon.
And the purpose of that is?
Protest the arms race.
Do you have anything on the ribbon at all?
Do I?
Yeah.
No, I didn't make anything. My daughter did, my friend. In fact, 2 of my daughters did, my friend and my friend's children.
We've been on the road now for, what, 12 hours?
Yeah, 7:30 hours.
13 and a half hours. And we're on our way to Washington for the ribbon ceremony tomorrow, the tie-in. People here, we're in Hancock, Maryland, don't know about what's happening in Washington. So I just had the pleasure of telling, a lady said, what's she doing with the TV camera out there? So I told her all about the ribbon ceremony. She's very, very excited. The night was long, but it's okay. It's a good thing. And we know where we're going, so it's worth it.
As the first groups were arriving in Washington for the festivities, reception was held by Peace Links, an organization working to raise consciousness to the issues of nuclear war and to enable women to take an active part in the debate.
I'd like to introduce you to Betty Bumpers, who's the president of Peace Links and the founder. Betty?
This is, I think, a historic moment in a movement that has started across this country. It is a new movement of people who have never been involved in something like this before. It is a statement, as you can see by looking at the ribbons, a very gentle statement by women across this country that have awakened to the fact that their families and their home on this planet are in jeopardy. And that it is a plea to our leadership to take us out of this dilemma that we face.
No one knows what makes an effect. What we do know is if we sit home and twiddle our thumbs, that the people who are in the defense industry are going to pile up more and more and more and more arms. We have to have people who question that, who say we have to move away from the arms race. And this is one way of expressing it. Not the only way, but an effective way, a different way.
Several of us spoke on the floor this morning, on the floor of the Senate, commemorating the 40th anniversary of the Hiroshima bomb. Incidentally, that's next Tuesday, the 40th, and then the following Friday is the 40th anniversary of the Nagasaki bomb. You know, it's an interesting thing. I hope you won't misunderstand what I'm saying, but you know, if you just go look at where a test was conducted, and you see a glazed desert floor where the sand was turned to glass, that's one thing. But when you see the twisted buildings, the utter destruction of Hiroshima, you know, nothing would have ever carried the message like that did. All the tests in the world wouldn't have done it. Yeah. I don't mean to take anything away from
As a representative of Congress, let me just stress that this is the most conservative group of people in the world because there's no instinct more conservative than survival. And that's what we're talking about. And we in Congress are deeply impressed with what all of you have done. And our hats are off to a lady who began with a Christmas card list and tied it to a second Christmas card list of Betty Bumpers and created a movement that is, I think, astonished the country.
The tying of the Pentagon ribbon had been scheduled to take place on Sunday, August 4th, 1985, in commemoration of the 40th anniversary of the bombing of Hiroshima. The events that weekend began early Saturday morning. These two people chose to depict one of the many horrors of a nuclear war. They illustrated how people would be vaporized instantly by a nuclear blast, only their shadows remaining, as two survivors of Hiroshima looked on.
We're hoping that each participant will make 20 shadows in the evening, and we have 100 participants, so there should be quite a few shadows.
100のところでこれが全米でやられるんですって。でその100が、20ずつあっちになったらまたこっちに違う。This one?
This is a little kid.
Little what?
A boy.
A boy. ちっちゃい子供のやったの。
So does it look like the images in Hiroshima?
なんか消えていく姿の中に怒りを感じるような気がする。
He says,
こうしてることがね。
そうね、これだね。As it washed away, I mean, after the shadow painting, he feels the anger of the dead people.
I picked this up in 1947 on the hospital grounds in Nagasaki. And you can see it's obviously a medicine bottle. You can even see the remains of the medicine. The force of the blast obviously forced the cork in and melted the bottle momentarily, but went by so fast that it solidified before it completely disintegrated. And it sat there till 47 when I picked it up.
Some people thought they were fireworks, which in a symbolic way they are. Or some people thought they were ice cream cones turned upside down. It was like the numbers of, double scoops that Baskin-Robbins has sold in the last 2 years. I mean, the point is to simply illustrate in sheer numbers, in exact numbers, I think, the numbers of nuclear warheads that the United States has. Just so people walking by could just sort of, look at it and just sort of let it sink in.
As I explained to someone yesterday, I saw a group of people make a mistake one time following a leader out of a concert and going down into the basement. They goofed, and thousands of people were down in the basement of this building. It just takes a few leaders to make us go awry, and I think it just takes a few leaders to make us do something wonderful. And I dig down deep, and I have to hope we are leaders doing something to lead people the right way.
Justine, have you seen the ribbon that came from Russia?
No, I have not. Oh,
excuse me, it's so long. It's so different than all the others, isn't it?
Is.
Something?
It's made out of. It is. It's
It looks
made
like
out of,
it's silver.
These are Russian sewing machines.
Oh, how exciting! Look how it's just yards and yards of it.
Where did it come from?
Yeah, and it has something to do with. Oh, I know. It was Cottage Grove, Oregon.
Oregon.
That's a sister city of Kor in Russia, and they wanted particularly to be wrapped around the Pentagon.
That same day, some 8,000 miles away in Hiroshima, Japan, a similar peace ribbon was unfolding around the A-bomb Memorial Dome, located at the epicenter of the explosion itself. This event also was inspired by Justine's idea.
Look at this wonderful one, the little child with the, see this one?
Oh, that's fantastic.
We love this. It's a little child. It says the one thing she can't imagine that wouldn't be on the earth would be a teddy bear. And she got the teddy bear with the balloons. Nice.
It's the one done by Justine Merritt.
Yes, this is it. This is Justine. This is hers. Isn't that beautiful? That's on the front of the ribbon.
What are you folks here?
This is a symbolic gesture for peace. I'm from Michigan.
I'm from Minnesota.
And how can you show? And I'm from Maryland.
I live in southeast Indiana on a farm.
I'm Martha Keene from New York. I live in the Netherlands, and I came to this country to see my parents who are sick. When I was there, I heard about the ribbon and decided to take 2 days out and come.
We're from the state of Kansas, and we're here for this little girl right here, Jeannie Kathleen Firth, and that's why we're doing all this. She made a ribbon, and my wife here, Debbie, made a ribbon, and this is my mother-in-law, Phyllis. So 3 generations are here.
We're hoping to show just a fraction of what might be lost in a nuclear holocaust, annihilation, whatever. So it's just a symbol of that and what people feel about it. Seems real obvious to me.
Some of them are radicals, and some of them are conservatives, and some of them are peace people, and some of them are church people, and some of them are really needle people, but we're all together.
Like the common folk who had built the great medieval cathedrals, each participant's name would not be remembered in history, but history would remember them.
Mrs. Merritt, I see that you brought some of your friends this afternoon.
We come now to a most solemn moment in our dedication to peace. Survivors of the only nuclear attack in the history of humankind, called the Hibakusha, have come to be this afternoon with us. We welcome their message now.
やっと元気になり、そして社会に出て働くようになりました。しかし、
21年前、原爆症が再発し、私は意識不明となったのです。
I barely survived from the direct attack, but 21 years ago, it is 19 years after the bombing, the radioactivity left in my body attacked me again, and my whole body was paralyzed.
物を見ることもできない、物を食べることもできない、喋ることもできない、そして大便も小便もすることもできない植物人間になってしまったのです。
I became like a living corpse, unable to see or eat or utter a word.
助かったと思っていましたが、結婚しまして、2人の子供を次から次に出産いたしました。
At that time, I was injured with the broken glasses, the shattered broken glasses only. But after I got married, 4 years after the bombing, I had my first boy and second girl born dead.
こちらにいらっしゃる女性の方がたくさんいらっしゃるとお見受けしますが、子供が亡くなることはとても悲しいことです。
I see in front of you so many women, and I am sure all of you women understand what the sad thing it is to have children died.
明日のリボンの行動を成功させましょう。
Let us work together for the success of the ribbon tomorrow.
No more 広島、No more 長崎、No more 被爆者。
To all of you present this day in this beautiful place where needlepoint, stained glass, and sunshine warm stone. To all of you who hear these words in other places, greetings. I believe that the ribbon, conceived in fear, grief, and rage, I know that the ribbon has grown into a lovely binding cloth to tie up a nation's wounds. I believe we have come to affirm life with our creative imaginations, with our eager fingers, and out of such a burst of color and power has come life. But I believe our work for peace has just begun. As we watch a child sleeping, whether that child is 7 months or 7 years or 37, as we watch our children playing, what would we not give of our time, our gifts, our treasure, to save a single sleeping child and a vulnerable planet? In this place this afternoon, there are many who have already risked family relationships to bring the ribbon to life in 50 states. Your dedication, called obsession by some, has called you in powerful ways to move beyond the doorsteps of your home. I am saying more is required of you. If all you did, dear friends, were to speak out, to write letters, to vote, you would be bringing the peace. I simply say, if all you can give is of your treasure, then give. We are bright, compassionate people. We are intelligent, creative, caring people. We are General Eisenhower's people gathering to lead our leaders on the road to peace. We have been called to spread the word. We have been chosen to bring the peace. Amen.
Okay? We will start people up the steps from the staging site. And they will walk in a clockwise direction around the Pentagon, the metro area of the Pentagon, the south parking area. And then they will go down this loop, down Washington Boulevard, up to the circle at the end of Memorial Drive, the Memorial Bridge.
Mrs. Merritt, you started this ribbon and your original dream, is that right?
Yes.
Have we fulfilled your expectations?
Oh, I think you've done very well. But obviously I didn't make 25,000 segments, and I didn't lease buses and porta toilets, so a lot of people in a lot of places have made this possible. So I'll claim the idea, but I won't claim the excitement and beauty of today. This took thousands of people working thousands of hours to make this come true.
I'm a quilter, and that's how I found out about the ribbon. And there's a lot of time and a lot of love put into all the stitches that people put into quilts. And when I realized that if a bomb was dropped, you know, not just the new quilts, but all the old quilts, all the quilts that we've been saving for so many years and that have been kept in museums, and you know, all the family history and all those wonderful little stitches that people put in would be gone. They'd just be gone. And so the banner that I did, that was my personal one, had little children's hands touching a quilt, and that's what I would miss the most.
If I put forth the effort to make reservations and come all the way to Washington, somebody will know that I must be serious about what I'm doing.
The best thing out of today, this will show that the peace movement is creative, is loving, is joyful, is positive. You know, you get so many negative images. The president tells about how negative those anti-American people. Look around here, these are the real Americans. Look at those ribbons. They show you the joy, show you a lot of creativity, show you a lot of, you know, life right there.
These are the ribbons that we're going to try to put in the parade of ribbons. We've been in all these demonstrations for over 25 years. She hasn't been. She's not that old. Figured it was time for her to get involved. Know that she could do something to stop what's going on in the country that we don't agree with.
You know, women are tired of pushing babies out, spending 18 years getting them grown up and then having them blown away with a gun.
Get your banner. Get someone else's banner. Take a banner from a state you've never heard of and join the walk. Please line up. We're starting the ribbon walk now.
Ribbons had been sent from countries around the world. Panels came from England, Germany, Canada, Holland, Italy, Australia, and New Zealand, to name only a few.
All of the ribbon carriers are asked now to form lines on both sides of the reflecting pool.
The Capitol has now been completely surrounded. Messages of caring and desire for peace and the idea that we can no longer live snared in the nuclear noose has gone around the capital of the United States of America.
I've been asked to tell you about this one, which will link the two sections of the Pentagon ribbon in a few minutes. This is the one I started. This is the first one ever begun in 1982. each one of us is important. And that's what this has to say, with color and with love and with prayer. I have made 3 more, and the 4th one is incomplete. And that is how it will be, because I cannot write each of your names. I can only pray for each of your lives and the lives of all the children on the vulnerable planet. Let's do it.
It had begun with one pull of a thread.
And we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We have a song for all the nations, and we are singing.